It's Jack again, and now we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of what it really takes to figure out what your hundreds are. I built up to it a couple of segments ago, last segment. Now we're down to the nuts and bolts, where the rubber meets the road. You need to ask yourself two questions. The first one is, what would I like to have that I'm not getting? In any area of your life that matters to you, I don't care if it's financial or physical or spiritual, doesn't matter. Do your best to make sure that it's 100 on the scale already, something you know you want with all your heart. Do your best. But be aware of this. Most of the time, the first question or the first answer you give, it's not going to be right. It's going to be wrong, inaccurate, partially. Maybe it's a 70 on the scale. 99% of the time, it's not going to be 100. Not always, but most of the time. So you ask the first question as if money weren't an issue, or time wasn't an issue. What would you do if you had all the money in the world, or weren't in debt, and could go do or be whatever you wanted to be? No limits. Don't put any limits on yourself. What would it look like? What would you do? Where would you go? And who would you be with? And also put yourself in the right frame of mind. Meaning, don't have any buts. I'd love to do that, but. One guy actually said, I'd like to be a fisherman, but you can't make money fishing. Well, that's not true. My brother made $80,000 or $70,000 a year doing that. He just didn't know. So don't say but. Just say, this is what I want. Your head can figure it out. And don't say, maybe that's what it is. I think that's what it is. It feels right. Because when you go there, it's not 100. When it's 100, there's no doubt. You'll know. You'll know emphatically. You'll be, yeah. In a minute, I'm going to give you some examples. So here's the second question. It's a crucial question. They call it the core desire drill question. You're going to drill down to the core, from the top to the bottom, right to the heart of the matter. Going to drill down. Here's the question. Remember, you're giving yourself an answer. The first question is, I want financial independence, whatever. Here's the drill question. If I had that, whatever you said as your answer, what would it give me that I'm not getting? Simple question. What would it give me that I'm not getting? So you said I want financial independence. Well, if I had financial independence, what would that give me? Now let me give you an example. True story. A woman came up on stage and I asked her that question. She already knew what the answer was. I said, I want your core desire. Tell me what it is. Instantly she said, well, I want financial independence. And I didn't think that was a core desire, and neither did the audience. I asked them, is that what it is? And we all said no. She said, well, yes it is. I want financial independence. How can you say that? Well, I don't know. Here's the drill question. If you had financial independence, what would that give you? And she instantly answered again. Oh, I'd travel. I love to travel. She didn't even have to think about it. Again, it wasn't 100 on the scale. Based on my ability to measure her emotional response to that answer, it was not 100. So I said, if you could travel, what would that give you? This time she didn't answer quickly. She looked down at the floor for about 12 seconds, which is a long time. And she said, when she looked up, peace, peace. And she said it with a great deal of emotion, quietly into the microphone, peace. Well, that was high on the emotion charge, if you will, chart. It was an 80 or a 90, but it wasn't 100. Why do I know that? Because if you say peace, that means you don't have peace. So something's missing, meaning whatever's causing that peace, you want that either in your life or out of your life. So I said, what if you had peace? What would that give you that you don't have? That's the drill question. Her answer was, after she looked at the floor again, looked up, tears running down her cheeks, crying. Her answer was, I'd be getting along with my husband, and she's crying so she can't hardly talk. The next question was, if you could have that, what would that give you? And she said, I'd give anything. I pray for it. I don't think it's ever going to happen, though. And she threw in the butt. But we've been fighting for so long, it's just a lost cause. Well, it isn't a lost cause as long as he's not an alcoholic or a drug addict or abusive. And he wasn't any of those things. They just didn't get along. So I gave her one sentence to say to him, and she went home and said it, turned everything around, because I know what it takes to touch people's hearts, because that's where magic happens. So when you drill down to the core desire, you're going to have emotional reactions. Things like this. You'll smile. You might get tears in your eyes. Your heart might begin to pound. You might just acknowledge carefully or quietly, like, that's it. There's a proverb that I like that says in the Bible, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So go to your heart. Stay in your heart. Pay attention to your heart. Let your brain learn how to give your heart what it wants. I don't care if it's gardening, scuba diving, skydiving, making relationships happen, falling in love, falling out of love, fixing a marriage, getting married, making money. Doesn't matter. Your heart is what's going to make it happen. because it's going to drive you. And then the head will learn. You can learn anything. Your body language will change when you hit a core desire. You might go, yeah, some movement, and your facial expressions change. Endorphins sometimes begin to flow, and you just know it's right. No doubts, no questions. And that is the most important thing I could teach you in all the segments, is how to identify the emotional response to your answers. Core desire search question is crucial. Pay attention to your answers, make sure they're heartfelt, and you'll be on path.